Let's start with a question, one you might have asked yourself after a certain kind of interaction. Why do I feel completely drained right now, even though nothing obvious happened? It's not in your head, it's not just introvert problems, and it's not because you're weak, it's because your energy, your life's inner capital, is being harvested. What energy harvesting really means. Think of your energy like the battery in your phone. You don't leave it plugged into strangers' chargers. You don't let it drain to zero without a plan to recharge. And you certainly wouldn't let someone siphon it off while you weren't looking. Yet, we allow this to happen to our minds and our emotional state all the time. Energy harvesting is what happens when people, places, or even habits feed off your mental and emotional reserves. It's not always intentional. Sometimes it's as simple as being in an environment that constantly demands your attention, your empathy, your reactions, without giving you anything nourishing in return. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius put it plainly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The trick is to realize that outside events include not just random life events, but also the human interactions in the atmospheres you walk into, the common sources of energy drain. From a Stoic perspective, the external world will always make demands. It's your task to recognize which demands are worthy of your attention. Here are the main energy harvesters you'll encounter. People, the chronic complainer. Every conversation is a weather forecast of their personal storms. The critic, the one who finds flaws in everything you do under the disguise of helping you improve. The subtle competitor, they smile, they joke, but they measure every interaction to make sure they're ahead of you. Environments, a toxic workplace where drama is the daily currency, a family space where unresolved conflicts hang in the air like humidity, cluttered or noisy spaces that never let your mind rest. Information channels, the news cycle that feeds anxiety 24/7. Social media that's less about connection and more about comparison. Endless scrolling that leaves you empty instead of inspired. The psychology behind energy loss. If you're wondering why a simple conversation can leave you exhausted, it's often because of emotional contagion. That's the scientific term for the way moods and emotions spread between people, silently, invisibly, almost instantly. We're wired to mirror the emotional states of others. It's part of being human. But if you don't guard that mirror, you end up absorbing chaos and conflict that doesn't belong to you. There's also ego depletion, the gradual erosion of your willpower when you're forced to navigate negativity, microaggressions, or constant demands. Your mind is like a muscle. It can get fatigued from overuse in the wrong direction. The Stoic lens on energy awareness. A Stoic doesn't just notice the drain, they trace it back to the source. Think of your mind as a fortress. The walls are your attention and your boundaries. Every time you allow someone or something inside without discernment, you weaken those walls. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you are capable of improving." It's not about arrogance, it's about alignment. When your daily life is filled with people who constantly draw from your reserves without replenishing them, you're not being kind by tolerating it. You're being careless with your most valuable resource. How to recognize it's happening. The challenge is that energy harvesting isn't always obvious. Nobody shows up with a straw and says, "Mind if I take a sip of your soul today?" Instead, you notice patterns. You feel tired or heavy after seeing a certain person. Even if the interaction is normal, your focus disappears mid-conversation because your mind is stuck defending itself. Your mood drops sharply for no clear reason after being in a specific space. You start questioning yourself more when you're around them. Your creativity and motivation dip without explanation. A simple self-check. Here's a 5-question checklist to run after any interaction. Do I feel more or less at ease than before? Did I feel heard, or did I spend the whole time defending? Was there balance, or did the focus stay entirely on them? Did they respect my boundaries or push against them? Am I leaving with more clarity or more confusion? If you notice a consistent pattern of less at ease, less clarity, you've likely found an energy leak. Why this matters? Energy is not just about feeling good, it's about being able to live according to your values. When your reserves are drained, you're more reactive, more impatient, and less anchored in your principles. The Stoics knew that the mind must be guarded like a treasure, not because the world is out to get you, but because the world is indifferent. If you don't take responsibility for your inner state, something else will claim it for you. In the next part, we'll go from awareness to action. We'll talk about how to protect your energy without turning into a fortress nobody can approach, and how to apply Stoic principles to guard your reserves in a noisy, demanding world. In the last part, we talk about recognizing when your energy is being harvested, the signs, the sources, the psychology behind it. Now comes the harder part, keeping your energy safe without building walls so high that you cut yourself off from the good in the world. Stoic philosophy doesn't tell us to hide from life. It tells us to engage with life on our terms, with clarity, discipline, and purpose. Protecting your energy is not about avoiding people. It's about creating the conditions where your mind remains yours, no matter where you are. Principle 1, control what you can, let go of the rest. One of the most repeated Stoic truths is this: control what you can, ignore what you cannot. When it comes to energy, here's what you can control. Who gets your time? How much attention you give to certain topics? The way you respond emotionally. What you cannot control is other people's moods, the chaos of the news cycle, the existence of negativity in the world. Once you accept this division, the work becomes much simpler. You don't waste energy fighting things that are outside your control. Instead, you put your focus on the levers that actually change your state. Strategy 1, boundaries that stick. Boundaries are not just about saying no. They're about defining the rules for how others can interact with you and enforcing those rules consistently. The Stoics were masters of this because they lived by internal laws that mattered more than public opinion. A soft boundary might sound like, "I'm not available to talk about that right now. Let's pick this up later when I have the bandwidth." A firm boundary might sound like, "I don't engage in gossip. I'm not willing to continue this conversation if it becomes disrespectful." The key is to deliver these without anger, but with conviction. That way, you protect your energy without feeding drama. Strategy 2, managing inputs. Energy protection starts long before someone knocks on your door or sends you a text. It begins with what you allow into your mind. Try news fasting, taking a set number of days where you don't consume any news unless it directly impacts your life. Curate your social media. Unfollow accounts that spark comparison, irritation, or cynicism. Replace empty scrolling with purposeful reading, listening, or quiet reflection. The Stoics were deliberate about their mental diet. Seneca warned against wasting time on matters that neither improve your virtue nor bring you closer to wisdom. In today's world, that means trimming the constant noise that demands a reaction from you. Strategy 3. Self-care is discipline. One of the biggest misunderstandings about Stoicism is that it's about enduring hardship without complaint. That's part of it. But Stoics also believed in caring for the body and mind so they could serve their purpose better. Meditation, not just emptying your mind, but watching your thoughts like clouds, letting them pass without letting them drag you into their storms. Stoic journaling, writing down what happened each day, where your energy went, and whether it was worth the cost. Physical training, Marcus Aurelius trained his body as part of training his will. Exercise keeps your mind sharper and your emotional reactions steadier. Think of self-care not as indulgence but as maintenance, the same way you sharpen a sword before battle. Strategy 4. Daily reset rituals. Even with boundaries and a strong mental diet, some days will still take more from you than they give. That's why you need rituals to reset your energy. Morning grounding. Before you let the world in, take a moment to let yourself arrive in the day. This could be slow breathing, a walk outside, or reciting a Stoic quote that sets your intention. Evening release. Don't take the day's negativity to bed. Write it down, speak it out, or use a visualization technique like cord cutting, imagining the energetic ties to draining interactions dissolving before you rest. These rituals are like closing and locking the gates of your mental fortress each night and opening them with intention each morning. Real-life application, protecting your energy in a tough environment. Let's say you work in an office where gossip is a daily sport. You can't control the gossipers, but you can. Avoid lingering in those conversations. Redirect topics when possible. Keep your responses neutral so you don't feed the energy. Or imagine a family member who always unloads their emotional baggage on you. Instead of absorbing it, you can listen without taking ownership of their feelings. Offer empathy, but also limit the time spent in those conversations. Suggest solutions instead of letting the conversation spiral. These aren't acts of cruelty, they're acts of stewardship over your own mental space. The Stoic mindset shift. Ultimately, protecting your energy is not about fear, it's about responsibility. The Stoics believe that your inner state is the only true possession you have. If you allow it to be shaped entirely by outside forces, you are no longer living, you are merely reacting. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When you decide what enters your mind, where your time goes, and how you respond, you reclaim your freedom. And with that freedom comes a steady, renewable source of energy that no one can take from you without permission. In the final part, we'll talk about building something even stronger than protection. We'll talk about cultivating unshakable energy that not only shields you from the drain, but turns you into a source of strength for others. Up until now, we've focused on recognizing when your energy is being harvested and protecting yourself from it. But protection alone isn't the end goal. The real victory, the Stoic victory, is building a kind of energy so strong, so self-replenishing, that the world can't shake it. It's not about being untouchable, it's about becoming rooted, like a tree that bends in the storm but doesn't break. From defense to growth. Think of protection as building walls around your inner fortress. That's necessary at first, but at some point you have to plant gardens inside those walls. Sources of life that keep you flourishing even when challenges keep knocking at the gate. In Stoic terms, This is about living according to virtue. Virtue isn't just morality. It's the alignment of your actions with wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. When your life is rooted in these, your energy is constantly renewed from within. Pillar 1, wisdom. Wisdom in this sense means knowing the truth about yourself and the world. You study the patterns of your own thoughts. You notice the triggers that drain you. You learn from history, philosophy, and experience, so you're not surprised when human nature shows itself. Wisdom transforms energy loss into energy investment. Instead of resenting someone for being negative, you see them clearly and decide how much access they get. Instead of wasting days recovering from an insult, you recognize that insults are powerless without your consent. Marcus Aurelius would often write reminders to himself like, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Every time you truly live this, you stop leaking energy into what you can't control. Pillar 2, courage. It takes courage to walk away from situations that are familiar but draining. It takes courage to say no when everyone expects a yes. Stoic courage isn't loud or showy. It's quiet and consistent. It's choosing to act in alignment with your values even when it's uncomfortable. For example, leaving a social circle that's fun but toxic. Turning down a job that pays well but will destroy your mental health. Speaking the truth calmly when it would be easier to stay silent. Every act of courage strengthens the walls of your inner fortress and deepens your roots. Pillar 3, temperance. Temperance is the discipline to not swing between extremes. When you're constantly on an emotional roller coaster, your energy is in a permanent state of whiplash. Temperance looks like saying yes to rest before burnout forces you to, eating in a way that fuels you instead of just comforting you, working hard but stopping before your mind collapses. In an age of overstimulation, temperance is a power move. It creates steady, sustainable energy, not bursts followed by crashes. Pillar 4, justice. Justice in Stoic philosophy is about acting in a way that serves the greater good, not just yourself. When you live with integrity, your energy isn't wasted on guilt, overthinking, or covering your tracks. Justice also means choosing relationships, projects, and communities that align with your principles. When you invest your time in people and causes that uplift others, the energy you give away has a way of coming back multiplied. Creating a supportive environment. You've probably heard the phrase, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." That's not just a motivational cliche, it's an energy law. To build unshakable energy, surround yourself with people who challenge you to think deeper, not just louder. Friends who can hold space for silence as well as conversation. Communities, your niche, that align with your values instead of draining them. When your environment supports your growth, you spend less energy defending your peace and more energy creating something meaningful. The ripple effect of strong energy. Here's the beautiful paradox. When you focus on strengthening your own energy, you become a source of calm for others. You no longer get pulled into every emotional storm. And that stability is magnetic. People may come to you for advice. They may feel calmer just being around you. This isn't because you've become some mystical being. It's because you've stopped letting your inner state be dictated by external chaos. Your calm becomes contagious. Your discipline becomes inspiring. And in a world addicted to noise, that's rare. What happens if you don't guard and grow your energy? Let's be clear about the stakes. If you don't take this seriously, burnout becomes your baseline. You lose the ability to tell what's truly important. You become more reactive, less intentional. You're easier to manipulate because anyone can push your buttons. Over time, it's not just your energy that suffers. It's your relationships, your health, and your sense of purpose. The Stoic closing thought. The Stoics understood that life is unpredictable, but your character is your anchor. Your energy is the fuel for that character. It's the invisible currency you spend on every choice, conversation, and challenge. Seneca put it simply, "He who has great power should use it lightly." Your energy is your power. Use it with intention. Guard it with clarity. Grow it with virtue. And remember, the goal isn't just to survive the harvesters out there. The goal is to cultivate such a steady, luminous presence that even in a world of chaos, you remain the calm in your own storm. Now the question is, when you wake up tomorrow, will you step into the day as the guardian of your energy, or will you hand it over without even noticing? That choice, quietly, consistently, is where unshakable energy begins.